3rd. I'm recovering from that Cowboy loss yesterday. Looks like we might be playing the Cardinals in a couple weeks as a rematch. So anyways, wanted to do a little bit of training on zip forms. So obviously we know that this is the website, or however you want to get to zip forms. I just choose to go here, and it's texasrealestate.com. So once the screen loads, it'll say log in. You click that, and you should have your information already pre-filled. So you will actually just hit log in. You'll go back to the same screen. It'll say your name. So you'll see that it says, hi, Doug. And to the right, it says zip forms. I'm going to click on zip forms, and the screen turns blue. At this point, when the screen turns blue, we like to say you're going to look for one button and one button only from here until you go to the next world. And that's the new button, NEW. So as the screen loads, you're going to see the new button. And all I do is wait for it to load. And I'm going to click the new button. I have 5 boxes. I only care about the first 3. Seller, buyer, lease. If it's a buyer or a seller or a lease, I'm going to click the appropriate box. So let's say it's a buyer. I'm going to name it. Okay, so Joe Blow. And I'm going to always select the dot next to residential, always. Makes it simple. And then here, you're going to have 4 templates to pick from. Buyer, seller, tenant, landlord. So you're going to look for the buyer template. You're going to hit save. And at the next screen, you're looking at a white summary square. You'll see it. It's right there. You simply go 2 tabs over to documents, and you click on it, and you have all your forms here. Now, I'm going to cover the 1 to 4 family because that's the most often used form. So if you were going to write up an offer, number one, I tell everybody they need to print the agent full report out of the MLS and the tax roll. Have each on each side of your computer. When you click on the 1 to 4 family, I'm going to cover these paragraphs fairly quickly. Right here, you have paragraph 1. That's the buyer and the seller. Paragraph 2, you'll have the legal description. So that's lot and block. And then it'll say blank addition. That means subdivision. So you'll put the subdivision name under blank addition, city, county, and the address. Paragraph B and C, it's good to read these every once in a while, if not regularly. Read B and C, that's pre-printed, that stays real property unless excluded in paragraph 2D delta. You would simply type in chandelier, and that would exclude it. Paragraph 3, you always go down payment, loan amount equals offer or sales price. So 3A plus 3B always equals 3C. Paragraph 4 is if there's leases of people and things like solar panels or already a current tenant in the home. Go down to paragraph 5, that's going to be the title company. Generally, it's on the agent full report at the bottom of the listing. Chicago Title, Hexter Fair, that'll go right here in the first blank. It'll be a title company, not a person. Even though it says as escrow agent, it's going to be a title company. Then it'll have the address. As you tab, the next blank will be a $sign, and that's the earnest money. It says blank as earnest money. So you just got to read it. And I already have $100 set as the option. So that always tells you where the option goes. And again, you might negotiate these fees, the option fee and the earnest money, but we always have the option at 110 days. So you can change those appropriately based on the terms of your offer. But you don't have to fill in anything here at 1. Okay, that's going to be for additional earnest money. So leave that blank. So again, title company address, earnest money, option, and days that you're using to terminate. You go down to paragraph 6, it's going to be probably templated the seller pays title. You're going to put the same title company in 6 that's in 5. Down here is saying that your buyer is going to buy a shortage in areas. If the survey comes back and is not guaranteed, you'll have an insurance on it, especially if there's a shortage where the surveyor makes an error. It's always good to read these contracts, okay? You go to the top of page 3, it's called 6C, and you're going to be talking about the survey. The way we template it is we give 3 days to the seller to get us the survey. If the seller cannot find the survey, the seller buys a new one. If the seller finds the survey and it's deemed not good, not acceptable, then it's whoever's marked here buys a new one. So by just leaving this, if the seller can't find their survey, the seller buys a new one. Here we put residential pool or residential uses. That protects your buyer, that's what can be used at the property. There'll usually be a number of days to object, 3. You go down to paragraph 6E is going to be if there's an HOA or not. We template there is, so you just have to unmark it if there's not. You go to paragraph 7, that's going to talk about home inspection right here, 7A. 7B is the disclosure. Most of the time you have it. If you don't, you mark 7B2. I don't have the disclosure. You give the seller a certain number of days to get it, and then your buyer has a 7-day right to terminate no matter what. Okay, but normally it's marked here. And if it's marked there, then you would unmark and leave everything blank in 7B. Sometimes the seller doesn't have to do it. There's 11 exceptions. Know those exceptions, and that would be marked there that the seller doesn't have to provide it. You go to 7D Delta, and this is as is. These contracts are as is. That's where you mark it. Unless you see something specific you want to ask for, like a broken window, and then you would mark this and just say broken window in master. Okay, that means that will be corrected if it's agreed upon. It doesn't mean that's the only repair, but it just means that you're specifying that up front. Most of the time, I like to just leave it the way it's templated because the window will be found anyway, and you might ask for more repairs than just the window. 7H is the home warranty. We've templated about $700. The way it reads, it looks like if you don't continue to read that the buyer pays it, but it's really the seller that buys it. The buyer just gets it in their name. And but that is going to be a seller fee right there in paragraph 7H. And then, of course, down here, paragraph 10 is going to be at closing and possession. The buyer takes possession or according to a temporary lease. Okay. Up here at paragraph 9 is the closing date. So you would just click the blank and put a date in there as a closing date in paragraph 9. But then already pre-filled is paragraph 10. If there's a temporary lease, you would obviously mark that, unmark this, and then you would attach a temporary lease, okay? Generally a seller's temporary lease. Paragraph 11, I'm not a big fan of writing anything in there. We do know that the only thing we do put in is a fact or business detail that's not otherwise in a TREC promulgated form. Paragraph 12 is seller concessions. That's where you ask the seller to pay closing costs for your buyer. A little caveat, I would absolutely get that dollar figure from the lender as to protect your backside. So you just ask the lender, and then you put in a cost here, $5,200. That means the seller is paying the first $5,200 of the buyer's closing costs. From paragraph 12, you basically go down to 21. You're going to have your emails in here. You should put the buyer's email right here. You're going to have in paragraph 22, the most commonly used addendums are third party and HOA. Let's say you're asking for the refrigerator. You'd have a non-realty addendum. Okay. Let's say that it was a seller's temporary lease. Let's say it was lead base. Again, you're going to mark these accordingly. All right. Just remember, if there's no HOA, you not only need to mark it here and uncheck mark it, but also right here, paragraph 6E2. And just know that I'm always going to know how to get us to these paragraphs the quickest because I breathe it and bleed it and going to be here to protect you so that when you write this offer, it looks like I wrote it. Then you go down basically to this page. This is going to be page 10 of 11. And you'll see here that you've got all of our stuff filled out on the left. And then on the right, you're going to go the same length from here to city, state, and zip with the other broker information, which is actually called the listing broker. So Ebby Holiday, their license number, the agent's name, the agent's license number, the agent's email, the agent's phone number, the licensed supervisor of Ebby, the license number of the supervisor, their address, and then city, state, zip. You'll have the equal length on both sides. You basically hit save and you just completed the contract. Okay. Just wanted to walk y'all through that. Y'all be safe and have a great new year.